Namaste and welcome, my dear friends, to the 19th class of the Bhagavad Gita. Let us begin our class with a prayer. Heavenly Father, Divine Mother, Friend, Beloved God, Bhagwan Krishna, Jesus Christ, Mahavatar Babaji, Lehri Mahashay, Swami Shri Yukteswarji, Beloved Gurudev, Paramhansa Yoganandaji, Saints and sages of all religions, humbly we bow at thy feet. Beloved Lord Krishna, thou art the essence of everything. Help me to feel thee, to experience thee in my body, in my mind, in my heart. Be present in every thought and emotion, in every cell of my body. Help me to experience thee right now, right here. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. So, friends, we continue with the study of the Bhagavad Gita. We are on chapter 2. In the last class, we studied a few things from starting from Krishna saying to Arjuna that now I have told you the philosophy of Samkhya and now I'm going to teach you yoga. So, what was meant here is that how spirit has descended into matter, the 24 principles, and so on, is what is explained in the Samkhya philosophy. And what yoga does is yoga provides the methods, the techniques, and the science by which we can convert this theology or this philosophy into practical realization. And then in shloka number 40, Krishna says what Babaji has said to Lehri Mahashe, the promise of the scripture, the promise of the Lord Himself, that whoever practices this inner religion is going to be freed from dire fears and colossal sufferings. The verse, the shloka says, Swalpa masyasya dharmasya prayate mahito bhayat. So it will nullify all the fears. So predominantly, all the fears and sufferings that we have is because we are so attached to this current state of our existence in body and mind. And this is repetitive. And because this is repetitive, we also remember the fear of suffering, of decay and death in our past lives. And we carry in our subconscious that fear in this lifetime. And because the techniques that the guru brings, the techniques like Kriya Yoga and other meditative techniques that the guru gives us, that actually washes away the vrittis and the stored energy data that is present inside each one of us. And therefore, it can wipe away the subconscious fears that we have of losing this body at death, because it helps us to realize in the first place that we are not the body. So that is how it can remove this suffering. And we also discussed how it can not only remove desires, it can also remove the results of impending karma, again, because it changes your energy and it takes you towards higher consciousness. And then Krishna says that you have to be single pointed in your search for God. If you are, scattered in your mind and you're scattered in your energy and you want to experiment and explore this world more and more and more and go outside yourself, then you are not going to attain to that salvation. So it is not wrong to have knowledge of this world, but it is important first that we gain the higher knowledge of the true self. Once we have the higher knowledge of the true self, then automatically we will also gain the knowledge of this world. And we will understand this in a couple of shlokas later. So, when we ended the last class, we were discussing shlokas 42 to 44. And in that, Sri Krishna was telling Arjuna, and this is how Master explained, that do not be attached to or desirous of sense pleasures, of miraculous powers, of astral phenomenon, because these are also part of delusion. You have to be single pointed only in wanting the joy, the bliss of God. Only in that oneness is your true heaven. If you are seeking heaven or pleasure in any other place, including astral phenomenon and miraculous powers, you are going to be deluded and you are going to lose your way. So, this is what Master says. He says, The devotee should concentrate only on the attainment of joy in God. Those who spend their earthly sojourns in emotionally reacting to the endless dream pictures of life continue to behold the dream pictures of death and incarnations. So, another point has been brought in here. He has said earlier, do not look for sense pleasures and for astral phenomenon. Now he is saying, do not be emotionally reactive all the time. Unless you control your emotions, you are not going to be seeing reality just as it is. He says, by deep samadhi meditation, the haunting specters of man's inexplicable fears are eradicated along with mandatory births. So, as long as you are looking at this little body mind world phenomenon and you are not focusing on the true absolute existence of yourself, this cycle is ad infinitum, it will never end. So, this brings us to shloka number 45. त्रैगुण्य विषया वेदा निस्त्रैगुण्यो भवार्जुनः निर्द्वन्द्वो नित्यसत्त्वस्थो निर्गयोगश योगक्षेम आत्मनाम। वेद तीन प्रकार के सर्वजनीन गुणों का वर्णन करते हैं। हे अर्जुन, त्रिविध गुणों तथा द्वंद्वों से स्वयं को मुक्त कर लो। सदा शांत, प्राप्ति और संग्रह के कोई विचार ना रखते हुए तुम आत्मा में स्थित हो जाओ। सो योग एंड क्षेम मीन्स गेनिंग एंड रिसीविंग, और इन हिंदी प्राप्ति एंड और संग्रह। Also, shame also means kind of preserving. So, one is the process of gaining, where you know you're collecting wealth and you're collecting things, and the other process that man is humankind is busy is preserving what one has gained, and this is yoga shame, and this will again be mentioned by Lord Krishna later, where he will say that to the for the devotee, I do his yoga shame, means I take care of what he needs and I help in preserving what he has. So we'll come back to that later. But to understand this, let's first listen to the English translation. The Vedas are concerned with the three universal qualities or gunas. O Arjuna, free thyself from the triple qualities and from the pairs of opposites. Ever calm, harboring no thoughts of receiving and keeping, become thou settled in the self. So two things have been mentioned here. One is the three gunas, and the other is duality. So what do we understand here? I'll first read what Master says, and then we'll go into the discussion. Master says, nothing but the cleansing of man's inward being has the power to free him from the trifold reincarnation making qualities, which are sattvic, rajasic, and tamasic. By remaining ever calm, a natural sequel to deep meditation, the sincere devotee frees himself from the sway of the pairs of opposite qualities which are coexistent with the triad of the gunas. And of course, we know these opposite qualities are good, bad, virtue, vice, happiness, sorrow, health, sickness, heat, cold, like and dislike, and so forth. So, firstly, let's talk about the gunas. Now we know that when absolute existence has come into existence, it has vibrated and it has come into a waveform. And that waveform is responsible for the dual nature of things. Whatever goes up has to come down because the mathematical zero of the universe has to be maintained. Now, the three qualities. Now, if you think of a wave like this, then the bottommost part of that wave, which is a broad base and is close to the ocean, that is sattva. And then the middle part of the wave would be rajas, and the topmost part of the wave would be tamas. So, this is an allegory just to let's understand what is happening here. So, these are three qualities which are present in the universe, and these are present not only in everything but in every attitude, and they are manifested like this. So whichever person lives a sattvic life, that means is closest to the ocean, is not far away from the ocean. For him or her, it is easy to realize the truth because it is not away from the central baseline of absolute existence. But then comes the rajas or the activating quality, and here comes he come passionate desires and working restlessly into this world. And this is then it takes you away a little more away from your truth of pure stillness or pure existence. And then comes tamas. Tamas is the darkening quality which takes you farther away from your true self. And the qualities here that the aspects here that the person may manifest is, on the one hand, would be very evil thoughts, on the other hand, absolute laziness or too much of doubt, and so on and so forth. So all the negative qualities come here. And we know the farther away we go away from the baseline, the downward movement has also to happen just to equalize. So that is why entire spiritual life aims at you turning first towards the sattva quality. Only when you are living a sattvic life will you be close to the absolute existence of your own being, and therefore it is going to be easier for you to understand, realize, and know your true self. The farther away you are from that central midpoint or baseline, the more difficult it is going to be. And so, suppose there is someone who is, if you look all around you, actually, you will find that people are having these different qualities. Some are very, very lazy, very, very dark, with very, very dark thoughts. And there are some who are passionately running the race of life. And there are some who are relatively at peace and calm and contented and have higher goals in life, like God realization or seeking the truth. So all these mixture of people are present around you. For a person who is in tamas, first has to, too lazy, to work, has to first come to rajas and be, more active and passionate about things. Only when he realizes, after passionate desiring and attachment, that this is not leading anywhere, and therefore he turns his life into sattva, he simplifies his life and uses his time and energy towards God realization. And from there on, he moves towards the truth. So, this is the, let us now check our own level or our own guna, predominant guna. So, all of us have all these gunas as a mixture, because even the saint has to go to sleep. So, some people may say that sleeping is a tamasic element of human existence. And of course, we work in this world, we are active, we are earning our own money, and because of that we have to do various activities, and therefore we have some rajas in us as well. So, but what is the prominent and predominant quality within our hearts? What is the real aim of our life will tell us where we are. If we are seeking God realization, then automatically we are moving towards sattva. If our main aim is to make more money and to enjoy this world, then we are in the rajasic phase of our existence. And if we do not care about who we are, from where we have come, we are too lazy to do anything, and we will eat whatever is given to us, and we will not work hard at all. And we will, or else we will only work by the fear of punishment. Then we are, in the tamasic group. So we have to bring ourselves to sattva, and from sattva, we will gain our true knowledge. Okay. Also, because of the dual nature of duality, and we did discuss this in the last class, is that whenever you experience excitement, it is followed by its opposite, which may be sadness, or which may be irritability, or which may be moodiness. And moodiness is, of course, Master said, is a result of your misuse of the senses in the past. And that's why you keep, fluctuating up and down, up and down. So this will eventually increase our misery. Therefore, we need to even out these, and we need to be, even-minded and cheerful under all circumstances. That is what Master said, and Master said this is the highest duty of the yogi, because the more even-minded you are, the more you will be easily available to know your true self, which the nature of which is absolute stillness. If you keep buffeting yourself in emotions of excitement and sadness, then you will be away from your central core stillness, which is your true nature. This brings us to shloka number 46. Yavanarth udpane sarvata sampludodake tavan sarveshu vedeshu brahmanasya vijanatah. ब्रह्मवेता के लिए वेदों का उतना ही प्रयोजन रह जाता है जितना कि सभी दिशाओं से बड़ा बाढ़ आने पर जलाशय का. So Brahmaveda is the knower of Brahman. To the knower of Brahman, all the Vedas are of no more utility than is a reservoir when there is flood from all directions. So the meaning of this is simple. It says that for a person who has realized the self, he does not need the scriptural literature uh, to make him understand it again, because the nature of self realization is such that even one moment of complete realization, you know the truth, and it is an irreversible step. That is, it's a gain having which no gain is greater. So once you realize yourself as the omnipresent spirit, even for a short period of time, that since that is not reversed, it always stays with you. And therefore, you know that all you have read previously in the Vedas or other scriptural literature has led you to this point, and now your job is to become more steady at this realization. But then the value of that literature is it is less for you, it has almost no value. Just as if there is a small well in a village, and then a whole flood comes, and of course the value of that well is not that much anymore. So that's what is being said. Therefore, the yogi who moves towards self realization, not only is he not interested in sense pleasures, but also he is not interested in the lesser knowledge of this transactional world. And this, if there's this Upanishad called the Mundaka Upanishad, and in the Mundaka Upanishad, this is the question that the disciple puts to the guru. He says, what is the knowledge? I'm sorry, it is the disciple. Actually, there is this person who gains a lot of knowledge, and then he comes home, and the father is a realized person. So the father asks his son, have you learned that knowledge gaining which all will be known? So that is the base question of the Mundaka Upanishad. And here, then it goes on to explain the apar vidya, the par vidya. So it all includes the knowledge of the world as we learn in science and biology, physics, chemistry, and mathematics. And then eventually it takes you to it says the higher knowledge is the knowledge of the atman. Because having known that knowledge, all the other knowledge is of lesser significance. And once you realized yourself, you have put yourself in the state of absolute bliss, and therefore you needn't have that knowledge. Now, this does not mean that we are to discard all the knowledge that we have gained so far, that it is useless, it is unimportant. This is not the case. It is by having uh, put our mind to use by focused concentration on learning the data and knowledge of this world, have we been able to refine and sharpen our intellect enough that it can eventually gain the knowledge of the Atman. So don't think that what you have invested in so far is useless. Not at all. It has created the foundation for you to cleanse the mirror of your mind and intellect, so that the light of that higher knowledge can shine upon it. So now we come to one of the most important shlokas of the Bhagavad Gita, which is very fairly known to almost everybody. And this is shloka number 47. Karmanyavadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana ma karma phal heturbhu ma te sango astva karmani. So, thy human right is for action alone, never for the resultant fruits of action. Do not consider thyself the creator of the fruits of thy activities, neither allow thyself attachment to inactivity. I'll read it in Hindi as well. तुम्हारा मानव अधिकार केवल कर्म करने के लिए है, परिणाम स्वरूप कर्म फलों पर कदापि नहीं। स्वयं को अपने कर्मों के फलों का सृष्टा ना मानो, ना ही स्वयं को अकर्मण्यता से आसक्त होने दो. So there are four things being said here. Number one, thy human right is for action alone. Point number two, you have no right over the resultant fruits of action. Number three, you are not the creators of the fruits of action, therefore, do not be attached to the fruits of action. Number four, do not be attached to inaction. So here, this is a very important verse. Why? Because it tells us the exact day-to-day practical application of how we can find God by using the path of Karma Yoga. So this brings in the concept of nishkam karma. So nihi kam, nihi means no and kama means desire. So an action that is performed without the desire of fruit of action, that is where Krishna is eventually going to take Arjuna to. And we all need to go in that direction. So sakam karma is an action performed with a desire, and nishkam karma is an action performed with no selfish desire. Now the important thing is not to remove the action. So Krishna is saying you cannot be attached to inaction, but to remove the selfish desire means to remove the I-ness or the attachment to the I-ness. Why? Because he is saying that God is the creator of the fruits of action. You are not the creator of the fruits of action. So there is no point being attached to the I, because since I cannot create the fruit of action, therefore, if you're attached, you will start to expect. And if you start to expect a particular fruit of action, you're going to be bound. Not only are you going to be bound, but you're going to be unhappy with such a situation. So, Master says, the actions of the devotee are for the infinite alone, not to please mankind and not to satisfy his own material desire. Now, what the Gita is saying is going against our common understanding. On a daily basis, we think the action that I'm doing is for my pleasure, it is for my satisfaction, it is for my money making, it is for my family, it is so that I can enjoy this world, I can go out for a vacation, and so on and so forth. For me, I, me, mine. That is what I think. But what is the Gita saying? The Gita is saying the actions of the devotee are for the infinite alone. And this same thought was given in Patanjali Yoga Sutras, where one of the sutras said that all this creation and this existence is for the purpose of the creator, for the experiences of the creator, and that is it. And the problem is with us is the I, me, mine. And that's what Master said. You don't even know why you are here. Why do you want to have personal desires? Because all those personal desires are going to just be a trap and they will bind you. So, therefore, how to then work in this world? This is a very important teaching that we must remember, because whether we like it or not, but we are working almost every moment, even when we are just sitting idle, our mind is still working. So, what should we do so that our karma becomes karma yoga? So, whenever you unite the action with God, then it becomes yoga. Similarly, when you unite your love to God, then that love can become bhakti yoga. Similarly, when you unite your knowledge with God, that means you gain the knowledge which helps you to know God, that becomes jnana yoga. So anything that helps you to unite the soul with the spirit is yoga. So here we are talking about karma yoga, and there is a simple understanding. So for example, let us say that you have a thought of doing something good in this world. Maybe you think, okay, let me give some money in charity, or you may think that let me do some physical seva in the form of let me feed some children or feed the poor people. So this is a good intention and a good thought. Now, this can be done in two ways. In the first manner would be that I want to do some charity because I have the money and I want to feel good and I want to feel, be kind of praised for this. So I do this activity and then I say, oh, I'm in my to myself, I think I'm such a great person and that everybody should acknowledge that I'm such a great person. And if do people do praise me, then I go in, I like that. And if people don't praise me or they blame me, I do dislike that. And therefore, this entire thing, where do the likes and dislikes take us? They will take us into the trap of delusion, because eventually we will start to do things only that we like and we will not do things that we dislike, which is against the rule of righteous living, because we need to be appropriate and we need to do our dharmas. So that is the one way of action and which will trap us. The other way of action is where I do charity and I do feed the poor people, but I know that all the resources that I am using are belong to the universe. I am not the creator of those resources. I am not even the creator of this body through which all this good action is happening. And I acknowledge this fact that all the talents, the faculties, the resources, the power, the intelligence that this body is using to do work in this world has been created by God and is being sustained by God. I realize this completely, and therefore I realize that God is the doer. At the same time, I tell myself that I do not seek any reward or recognition from this act, and in myself, I am free and I am unconditionally happy. So these are the two ways that we can think and we can work. And why does Krishna tell us to work in a Nishkam Bhav? Is because only by working in a Nishkam Bhav will we be unconditionally happy. Otherwise, we will always be looking off for that happiness. We will say, okay, let me do this job. Maybe this will give me more satisfaction. Let me do another job. Maybe this will give me more satisfaction. What we don't realize is whatever job that we are doing, little, even the littlest of thing, that can be done with the attitude of karma yoga. Wherever you are, whatever job profile you have, all of that can be done. How? With an attitude of gratitude, of being able to experience the world, and the attitude of joyful willingness that God, I am here in this situation. You have created me, you have created this world and this situation. Will willingly and joyfully do my duties, whatever have been given by you. And of course, I know they are past part of my past karma, but I will come to this moment, live in the now, and do my best right now. So, that is also another aspect of Karma Yoga, that being here and being now, giving your best, and enjoying the process of the work itself, doing the work for the sake of work itself, for the sake of the pleasure of the divine, and because that pleasure of the divine is going to give you happiness. So, if you want your highest happiness, then you will work in this present moment and you will do your work with complete involvement, full interest, and with complete focus and with the love of your heart. And you will forget what it is going to bring to you in future. Of course, there are the law of karma and the laws of the universe are such that if you do good things, then happiness comes to you automatically. Let us remember this mathematical formula. If you are working, according to dharma, that is righteous living, then when you are a dharmic person, what you collect is merit or punya. And what is the result of punya and merit is a happiness. If you are not working according to the righteousness of this universe, that is, if you are working in a dharma, then the resultant is demerit or papa, and automatically demerit and pap leads to unhappiness or suffering. This mathematical formula cannot be reversed. So if we want to increase the happiness in our life, then that means we need to align ourselves with the righteousness of this universe. And it means I need to increase the goodness that I do. So, by increasing the goodness, I will gain happiness. Excitement does not beget happiness, or this happiness, one happiness will not beget another happiness. It is goodness alone that will beget happiness. So, to increase the happiness in your life, increase the goodness in. And how will you increase the goodness? With kindness, with compassion, with empathy, with doing your work to full efficiency and satisfaction, being in the here and now, doing your righteous duty, and all of this together. That is why the shastras and scriptures talk about these things, because all the virtues are supposed to maximize your experience of happiness in this world. If you are leading a virtuous life, you will be having happiness in your life. If you are not leading a virtuous life, the result cannot be but unhappiness. So, therefore, let us align our actions in such a way that they lead us to yoga. So, eventually, all actions are for God, all actions are by God. Actually, He is the doer. And all we need to check is the attitude while performing any action that we are performing. And of course, we are not to be inactive. Now, While in the just when the Gita begins, what Arjuna wants is he wants inaction. He says, I don't want to fight. That is not an option. And that is why Krishna gives an entire discourse telling him why he should act and why he should act righteously and what is his duty. So, therefore, inaction is not an option. We have to act. And if we have to act, then we must act righteously. Another important thing that comes here is that we have, when we are performing an action, we have choice. But once the action is performed and we have no control over the fruits of action, then our choice is gone. Therefore, before performing every action, take a pause and choose your side. So, are you choosing positivity, righteousness, happiness, or are you just living a conditioned existence based on your subconscious habits or your evil habits, and you want to just get trapped here on this side? So, there is choice before every action. And that is, you have the right over that choice. Now, of course, this is linked with the higher question of whether we have free will or not. And that is, this bigger question has different answers at different levels. For our current level of understanding, the Gita is telling us that you have the right to choose, as in you have right over action. And in fact, all the ethical codes of the world, the morality is based on that you can choose to be good. The entire judicial system of the world is based on the fact that you do have a choice. A person who has committed robbery or murder did have a choice not to commit it. And therefore, it is out of his will that he has committed the crime, and the legal system works accordingly. Similarly, the entire moral and ethical code works on the basis that you do have certain free choices and will. Therefore, from our practical point of understanding, we will say, and Master said that you have the power of choice and you must exercise it and you must bring in your willpower. Of course, as you go higher into higher states of consciousness and you come to the point of realization, it is then and then alone that you realize that all this while God was the doer. So, to understand that God is the doer, it also happens in a phased manner. And in only the state of self realization do you completely understand that God is the doer. And only then you know that everything that you thought was your free choice was, to an extent, it was also guided. So, but have we reached that level? Let's ask ourselves. We will talk about having no free will only when we are self realized. We have the freedom. So let's forget free will. Let's stick to freedom. Do I have the freedom right now to choose to commit a particular work in a particular way? Or do, for example, do I have the free choice to become angry at a person who has done wrong to me? And I have the choice to forgive that person who has done wrong to me. At every point, at every given moment, there is a choice. Even if you are a person who is angry and irritable because of habit patterns, before every event which makes you angry, there is a moment of pause. There should be a moment of pause where you still can choose, do I want to be angry or not? For that, you have to come in so much control of yourself. And for that, you have to be so much alert about your own behavior and attitudes. And that is why yoga is going to take us. It is going to make us alert, aware, awakened to this body mind game that is happening and to the realization of who we are. So, for as long as we understand that I am this body, mind, and this is the situation of my life, I am this egoic, separate existence, till that time, we have this choice. We must exercise this choice and we must take ourselves to freedom. If we do not choose to be free, then who will choose this freedom for us? We have to do righteous action, we have to do purusharth, and we have to work for our own freedom. And of course, eventually to realize that it was always God working through us for his own freedom. That is why all this entire world is called a Leela. Okay. Right. So, what is the master is explaining further that how, if you do not work for the sake of work itself, how it will actually make more desires for you and more misery making karma. Once you have a desire, you want to fulfill that karma, that desire, therefore you perform karma, and how that karma is going to lead you to more births and deaths. And therefore, if you want to be free, and let us assume that there is no freedom later on, and that is the truth. If I want to feel free right now, what do I do now? Now that I have a body, I have a mind, I am in this world, what do I do now to feel that inner freedom? And Karma Yoga and working the way that Master has explained, that is the way out. And of course, in this moment, I bring in the element of love, I bring in the element of knowledge, and I bring in the element of Dhyana or Raja Yoga. Why? Because that helps me to still the restlessness of the body, prana, and mind. So, in this moment, ask yourself, what can you do to bring yourself to the truth that you are absolute existence itself? The man who tries to work out his past karma with the thought of pleasing the Lord alone ultimately understands the fine distinctions between the duties instigated by his own past egotistical tendencies and the duties assigned by God. So, as you do work and offer it to God, you will understand what work you should involve yourself with and what work you should not involve yourself with, which karma is going to be binding and which karma is going to be freeing. And how this is going to happen? Because you have been offering all your work to God, and because if you're a meditator and a yogi, then your intuition will get awakened, and through that intuitive wisdom, you will know which karma to engage in and which karma to avoid. Human existence is not predestined. Every man is given free choice to accept the divine plan of existence or to follow the path of ignorance and misery. This brings us to shloka number 48. Yogastha kuru karmani sangatyakta dhananjaya siddha siddhayo sama bhutva samatvam yoga uchyeta. हे धनंजय अर्जुन, योग में स्थित रहकर सफलता एवं असफलता के प्रति तटस्थ रहते हुए फलों के प्रति आसक्ति का त्याग करके अपने सभी कर्म करते रहो। यह मानसिक समता ही योग कहलाता है। O Dhananjay Arjun, remaining immersed in yoga, perform all actions, forsaking attachment to their fruits, being indifferent to success and failure. This mental evenness is termed yoga. So we have another definition of yoga. And of course, this matches the definition given by Patanjali, who says yoga's chitta vritti nirodha, neutralization of the vrittis of the mind is yoga. And here, what Krishna is saying, also the same thing, that practicing even mindedness is yoga. So now, in the current scenario, the urban life that we are leading, I would say even mindedness is tapasya. To be able to minute by minute control your emotions, minute by minute to be centered and calm in yourself. Whatever the world may say or do to you, or whatever your body and mind has to work in the world, if in the midst of all that activity, you can stay calm, centered, and even minded under all circumstances. And of course, patience comes in here, forbearance comes in here. If you can do that at every given moment, then this is your tapasya, this is your yoga. And because of that, this is a sattvic practice, and you are closer to the absolute stillness of the self. Therefore, it is easy for you to remain in the in self-realization, to move towards self-realization. So let us just take this home. If there are a couple of messages that we need to take home from the classes, one is, of course, to offer the fruits of action to God and to do the work in the present moment with full attention and with love, and the other is to try and remain even minded in the midst of whatever is happening in the world. If we can take these two take home messages from today's class and we can put them into practice, I think we're going to be self-realized soon. But the thing is, it's difficult, moment to moment, every day of your life, and every day brings new battle into our life. But if we hold on to this principle, then we are very close to self-realization. So, what does Paramahansa Yogananda say about this? He says, one who can persevere his mental balance in every kind of changeful circumstance is a yogi. So another definition has come up. If we are wanting to call ourselves yogi, and yogi would simply mean that if we want to unite our soul with spirit. And why do we want to unite our soul with spirit? Because it is our spirit is our true nature, and unless we know our true nature, we are not going to be in a state of unconditioned bliss. So starting from the point where we say, I want to be happy, and highest happiness is found in my own nature as spirit, and therefore, I need to unite the soul with the spirit to feel that blissful experience. And if I want to be that yogi who unites, then I must maintain my mental balance all the time. I can start trying today. Now, in our daily life, our problem is that we buffet too much between likes and dislikes. For example, on a standard day, you would get up and you say, I don't like getting up so early. Then you have your cup of tea or coffee and say, I like this hot cup of tea or coffee. Then you go out, you have to go to the office or your workplace and say, I don't like this traffic. And then you reach your office and you say, I don't like the boss. I like this colleague of mine. I don't like my work. I don't like the weather today. This entertaining movie is very nice. So you're all the entire day of your life, you're actually trapped in likes and dislikes. And likes and dislikes will take you to moodiness. And this moodiness will keep you away from the truth. Then you cannot be a yogi. Therefore, you have to withdraw yourself from these likes and dislikes. And you have to say, okay, what is the demand of this moment? What is appropriate action for this moment? Let me do this action. And then this will free me. This is the action that God has given me right now, and I will do it to the best of my capability. And this is freeing. This will not create more desires for you, and this will also, the karmic burden that has come back, that was also going to dissolve slowly with this kind of an attitude. Therefore, it is imperative that we practice even mindedness and that we bring ourselves, withdraw ourselves from our likes, dislikes, and moody behavior. The devotee should perform activities with the mind immersed in God. Anyone who carries out all actions in this way is in the state of liberation. Even as the Heavenly Father works through all creation without being attached or bound by its constant flux. Man is a walking God. He should manifest his true divine self. Okay. Good morning, everybody. You are a walking God. Now, let's start to see our life and this world from that point of view. The point of view that we currently hold is that I am this limited being in the midst of all this suffering and chaos. But what is the Guru saying? What is God saying? You are a walking God. But the problem is, how do I realize this truth? If I am this walking God, when I look into the mirror, why does not my face look like God's face of peace and light and infinity? What am I missing? We must ask this. The scripture is clearly declaring. And in Hindi, many saints say this, tum jano ya na jano, tum hi Ram ho. Tum mano ya na mano, tum hi Ram. अब ये सत्य है. This is the truth. How do I realize this truth? And herein come all the paths of yoga. I realize this truth by performing karma in the way that has just been explained. I realize this truth by dissolving my little I in the bigger I of infinity by love and surrender. I realize this truth when through Jnana Yoga I remove the ignorance which tells me I am this body and mind. And I realize this truth by practicing regular meditation, which is going to still the restlessness in the body, in the prana, and in the mind, and thereby helping to me to realize that I am this pure consciousness. And when I hold on, while I do my duties, if I hold on to the thought of God, hold on to the thought of pure consciousness while I'm performing these duties, then I am liberated already in a sense. So ask yourself, when you are performing a job, where is your mind? Mostly, I've seen people around that whatever work they are doing, part of their mind is somewhere else. To begin with, let that somewhere else be on God. And then slowly bring that thought of God into everything that you do. Always reminding yourself God is the doer, God is the power behind this action, the intelligence behind this action, and all He is the creator of my being, and He is loving me as well. So just by thinking He is creator, He is doer, this is all very mechanical. Know that God is a merciful God, God is a compassionate God, God is a loving God, and He is personally interested in your life. And this you will start to realize when you start to show personal interest in God. When you start to ask the question, does the God exist? Where is God? Where can I find God? How can I find God? And when you have these questions in your heart foremost, then the Guru appears in your life because he knows the answers to all these questions and he will guide you to find these answers. So, therefore, if we bring all the four yogas to ourselves in this moment, then it is easy for us to realize who we are. And when we work with that kind of realization and the presence of God in our life, then we feel free, we feel liberated, and everything becomes a happy phenomenon. The working also is happy, the feeling inside is also a happy one. The man who learns to perform all activities with inner balance, without attachment to anything, and without restlessness, remembers his true self and can reclaim his oneness with God. The only way one can permanently establish himself in the inner evenness of yoga is by meditation. He should meditate with the thought of pleasing God and loving God. Then yoga or divine union with the immutable spirit is sure to follow. So why it is being said that no practicing meditation is the only way? It is the fastest way because on the one hand, if you do karma yoga, then it is a long process of many incarnations of working with this attitude. On the other hand, if jnana yoga is also very difficult because to do neti neti and say I'm not this body, I'm not this mind, I'm not the intellect, I'm not the prana. All of that process is also very. It's a difficult process. It is a long process. This is shortened by two things. One is most importantly bhakti and love, and second is meditation. Meditation gives you a technique which helps to stop all the activities of the body and mind. And in the stillness of that restlessness, you realize who you really are. Therefore, it is the fast path to know who you are. And because we are so used to activity in this, it's the Rajasic time. So we are in Dwapar Yuga and this a phase of activity, and we are on a planet that is predominantly Rajasic, and we are going to act. Therefore, meditation technique gives you something to do, which your body and mind really like. So you have something to do. A particular action is given to you, and that's what Kriya Yoga is. The root of Kriya is action. So some action is given to you, performing which all other actions fall in the right perspective. And all other vrittis are go into silence. And that's how you quickly learn the lesson of self-realization, as in to know who you really are. This brings us to shloka number 49. दूरेण ह्यावरं कर्म बुद्धियोगा धनञ्जय बुद्धौ शरणं मन्विच्छत् कृपणा फलहेतवः. सामान्य कर्म, साकाम कर्म, बुद्धि के मार्गदर्शन से जुड़े कर्म की अपेक्षा अत्यंत निम्न श्रेणी के होते हैं. इसलिए हे धनंजय अर्जुन, सदा मार्गदर्शन करने वाले बुद्धि की शरण लो. जो केवल फल की प्राप्ति के लिए कर्म करते हैं वे तो अत्यंत दुखी हैं. Ordinary action performed with desire is greatly inferior to action united to the guidance of wisdom. Therefore, O Dhananjay Arjun, seek shelter in the ever directing wisdom. Miserable are those who perform actions only for their fruit. We have already explained this to an extent, but let's go into a deeper understanding with Master's words. He says, activities motivated by material desire are an inferior way of fulfilling life's duties. They entangle the doer in a tight net of ever growing desires that must be worked out in subsequent lives. Actions guided by the soul's inner intuitive discrimination, Buddhi Yoga, are situated only to satisfy the cosmic plan and therefore leave no traces of misery making karma. So, if you go with your likes, dislikes, and desires, then whatever karma you do is going to entangle you further. Why? Because it is the nature of desires to never fulfill you. So, as we discussed in the last class, you have one desire, you do karma for that. If it is not fulfilled, then you get frustrated. And also, even if the desire is fulfilled, it does not give you lasting satisfaction, and therefore you have more desires. And again, more desires and more karma means more rebirths. On the other hand, if you're working with the inner wisdom of your soul, the intuitive guided wisdom, and intuition is a faculty that all of us have, but we need to develop it more and more. We need to train ourselves to hear the inner voice of conscience. And if we perform actions when we are guided by that higher wisdom, then we are not going to entangle ourselves in further desires and further karma. That is what Master is saying here. The devotee should never act in a desultory way, driven by whims, moods, and habits, or by the customs and fashion of the environment, or by inherited or prenatal desires. He should place all his activities under the shelter of the God directed wisdom that is felt in meditation. It is wisdom to live and work to please God and thus remain free and divinely content. Simple examples of this. In Hindi we commonly say मेरा मन नहीं कर रहा, मेरा मन कर रहा है, मैं इसलिए ये ऐसा कर रहा हूँ या कर रही हूँ, मेरा मन नहीं कर रहा इसलिए मैं ये नहीं करूँगी. That is one level of existence that we work from. Another level of existence is the society is doing like this. Everybody is drinking and partying. I should also go and drink and party. Everybody is casually lying about every little thing. Let me also involve myself in this casual lies, because casual lies appear to be, giving you some benefit for at least a short term. The world is doing this, therefore let me also do this. This is a religious ritual that my family has been performing for centuries. And even though I don't understand what this religious rite or custom is about, but I will follow it and I will remain in this fixed state of mind. So these are different levels from which we are working. And Master is saying you need to discard all of them. And you need to actually work from that inner wisdom where you are not only intuitively guided by God, but also because by hearing the scriptures and their truth, you know what is the ideal. So, what does the scripture do? Scripture will point towards self realization. You have to earn that self realization yourself. But at least the scripture gives you an ideal, a point of reference. It says, okay, this is ideal behavior, this is the ideal goal, and this is the ideal direction. So and here's where study of the self or self study both come in. So we refer to the scriptures, but the scriptures say you must follow the guidance of the guru and meditate. So we do that as well. And it is only then, when we have that intuitive wisdom and we act accordingly, do we remain free while acting. So we are not saying that we want freedom after many births, we want freedom after we die. We are saying we want freedom right now, right here. I want to feel free right now. And that's where Master is saying, if that is what you want, And if you do not want to create karma that will bring you back again and again to the same plane of existence, then be guided by your higher wisdom. And to be guided by a higher wisdom, you need to meditate regularly, because only then the restless thoughts that you have, which cover the voice of the inner conscious, is going to be settled, and then you can hear the voice of your inner conscience. It's always there within us. With this thought, I think we should end today's class. And again, reiterating few points from today's class that we need to carry home and work upon. So, point number one, we need to work with the thought of God uppermost in our minds. We need to work enthusiastically, willingly, joyfully, and lovingly. Secondly, we must be even minded and cheerful under all circumstances. And thirdly, we must meditate regularly to awaken our intuition, because only in the awakened intuition will we be able to realize our true self. So, with that thought, let us share the blessings and the love that we have received through these teachings, the guiding light that we have received to souls everywhere. You may visualize a soul who is in special need of healing in body, mind, and heart, and pray for these souls. Let us pray together. Divine Mother, beloved Lord Krishna, thou art omnipresent, thou art in all thy children. Manifest thy healing presence in all bodies, all minds, and all souls. Divine Mother, beloved Krishna, may thy love shine forever on the sanctuary of our devotion, and may we be able to awaken thy love in all hearts. Om Shanti, Shanti.